Women's Voice. We are live on GBC News. We are also live on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. You can join the conversation via WhatsApp or text. The number is 0245780116. Today on the program, we are looking at child behavior management. Now, many parents find it quite difficult to manage the behavior of their children or shape their children's behavior into what they expect it to be, because children have their own way of going about things. Children are just children. Today on the program, we're going to look at how to manage that behavior in the face of a pandemic where parents are dealing with their own work schedules, dealing with making ends meet, and also dealing with managing children who may be at home for longer, or even managing those who are going to write exams and will be back at home. That's why we're looking at child behavior management. In the studio, we have the author of three books. One of them, Practical Tips for Effective Learning, and the other one, How to Identify Your Child's Unique Learning Styles, are all on children and learning. And there's also another one on effective learning. He's here in the studio. He is also in charge of a life coaching consult that provides coaching services for parents, for children, those within the education sector, even for teachers and educators as well, and also for relationships and marriages. I'm talking about CEO of Lordstone Life Coaching Consult, Aaron Lordstone Pogo, has joined us in the studio. Aaron, it's great to have you back in the studio.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Before you go on, I'd like to say a big thank you to all those who contributed to supporting Rachel Quay. Rachel Quay was on the show a week ago. She is the mother of a 12-year-old boy with cerebral palsy who reached out to us. We shared her story on this platform. Certain people have contributed already to supporting Rachel in various forms. I want to thank Blessed Mary Kwashiga for sending in your support, Barbara Gazy for sending in yours, Stevenson Oklu, and Nanecha Abwaji. Thank you all so much for supporting. The opportunity is still there for those of you who watch that show and want to support this mother of a child with cerebral palsy who is living alone with her child and has to support him through these difficult times. Thank you again. So let's get into child behavior management. What informs behavior in the first place? What informs our behavior as people?
Okay, first and foremost, thanks for this opportunity. I'll first and foremost define what behavior is. Behavior is the way we behave, the way we relate to people around us and to the environment in which we find ourselves. So that is behavior. It's a way of life. Now, what influences it? First and foremost, it's a genetic trait. We are first born with certain natural nature wiring. And those natural wiring influence how we behave and think and do what we do.
So what you mean is that we are born with some characteristics that tell how we behave?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Even we should look at the Genesis when we look at the Bible.
Okay.
In Proverbs 22, it says we should train up the child the way he should go. It means that there's a way already the child, when he's giving birth to, already has that way. So we should just train or nurture the child along that way so that the child will grow into how God has wired that person to dispense his or a purpose on this earth. And then when you go to Judges chapter 13:8, Manoah, Samson's father, asked the angel, what is the rule concerning the child's training and work? So there's a type of training that we need to give children, and those training are already coded in the child's ability. So every person has this natural genetic behavior wiring. Now, as parents, what we need to do is to just discover that behavior wiring of the child, and then allow nurturing to be just around it over time to conform with your natural genetic makeup. When there's also that encounter of Ephesians chapter 6 verse 4, where the Bible says, fathers should not provoke their children to anger, but should bring them up according to their instructions. So every person has coded instructions that comes with it, like a manual when you are giving birth to. So all we need to do is to nurture the child along those behavior patterns, and those behavior pattern is a clue to the purpose path of the person.
How do you discover that natural behavior pattern? Because you can have 3 children or maybe 4 children, and they're all behaving differently. They may have similarities in reacting to certain things.
Great.
That may be completely different.
Yes. And first and foremost, observation. We need, for the first 2 years in the life of the child.
When you talk about observation, it means time.
Yes, time. For the first 2 years of a child, all we should do is to observe how the child behaves in their natural setting, not always controlling them. Stop this, don't do that. When we tend to observe them within that first 2 years, it gives us a clue, a foreknowledge of what to expect as they are growing. But in our dispensation, we don't have time for our children, so our maids take care of them, schools and
nannies
and also they don't have that patience because of the structure of our system to just keep things going without even knowing what we are doing. So observation is the key. Then the other has to do with, there are already a lot of information on the net that can tell us if your child is behaving a certain way you don't understand. You can go on the net, Google it, and find out, my child is 2 years, is exhibiting certain behaviors I don't understand. How would I? Then you can go and then find out what are the ways. And there have been people like Stigma Fraud that's come up with theories in the 18th and the early 90s. So these people's theories, yes, these people's theories are there to give us a clue to the behavior patterns of the children we have. And then the one I developed over time has to do with the nature purpose wiring of the child. And that gives you a definite clue of what to expect when the child is behaving. And those nature traits goes beyond the age of the child.
Okay.
It goes beyond the age of the child. So as immediately as the child is giving birth to, those nature is in the child already. Those behavior patterns are in the children already. So as they keep growing and they become adult, it's already there. But that's the role of nurturing, parenting, to know that this is how my child is. So when the child is behaving in a certain way, how should I manage the behavior of that child, not to let it go outside the orientation of the child? Mm-hmm. Because when you nurture a child outside its natural purpose wiring, there is a tendency you are going to orient the child into confusion.
Collins Dakwa, thank you so much for watching. He says, good evening, my fellow Ghanaians, and I'm watching you live from Italy, Palermo. Thank you, Collins. So how do you then get to the root of the natural wiring, purpose wiring of the child?
Okay. So back to the date of birth factor that we discussed the last time when we were doing the learning strategy styles. It has to do with Isaiah 40, 25 to 26, talking about God creating the host using numbers.
Okay.
So for 5 years, I was doing research, experimenting on it. Now, what you need to do is to just add the date of birth of the child. You get 4 digits first. You split those 4 digits and add it again until you get 1 digit. Now, so for example, if the child is giving birth on the 15th February 2001, so you are going to add 15 plus 2 plus 2001.
Right.
You get 4 digits. Those 4 digits that you get, you just need to split it and add it until you get 1 digit. Now, those 1 digit will tell the purpose wiring of the child. And the numbers will fall into 1 to 9. 0 is neutral. Okay. That's why we don't have an end to a number.
Right. So for the numbers 1 to 9,
great,
could you give us the categories there, and then we can continue the conversation looking at the typical behaviors that are exhibited in these personality types, and then probably how to help the child, groom the child in the appropriate way to behave. Meanwhile, you can send in your WhatsApp and text to the number 0245780116, is on your screen. You can also later on wait and then call into our phone in number. We would announce that later on in the program so that you can make your contributions to the program, or you can leave them on the Facebook page as well. We would read them out. So let's look at that numbering.
Okay, so when you add your child's date,
so if you're looking at one,
yes, if you are looking at one, the children with one nature wiring, naturally they don't like advice. There's no way you tell them to do something and then they'll quickly listen and do it for you. They want to do things on their own. They have that independent nature to want to think, to practice what they want to do, understand and learn from it.
Okay.
So if you're a parent, you don't know that your child naturally doesn't like advice, you will always have conflict with that child. Because by the nature wiring of the child, you can't control him or her and instruct him to do what he has not decided to do.
But does it mean that that child is not going to take any advice at all?
There's a way to relate with such a child.
To get that
to
child
get to that aspect of modeling that aspect of him that feels like I always need to be in control.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where the management skills comes in.
Good.
You speak to the conscience of the child.
So for a child like that, what should he be doing?
Such a child, you need to always tell the child, I've been to where you are. I bypassed that stage. So I'm telling you, this is a consequence. That's why I'm telling you not to do that. Or I want you to do this because this is the consequence. Explain the rationale behind what you want them to do or not to do. And then make sure that you are firm in instructing that, making sure that that instruction is abided by. And they are such that when parenting, they don't listen to their women and their mothers. If the father figure is absent in the life of that child will not listen to the advice of the mother.
Does that mean that's a lost case, or there's a way around it?
There's a way around it. That means you need to have a father figure around the home or at school to keep the child in control, because they don't want to be ordered or controlled. So if the child is a boy, he feels he doesn't need instruction from a female.
Right.
That's how they are. There's this school head I went, and when I met him, he was like, my wife always used to complain, my son is that. But anytime I come, it seems the guy does opposite what the mother says. So I told him that, okay, after doing the purpose discovering, the coding, I realized that no, he's one. I told him that at your absence, your child will not listen to the mother. But when you give guidelines and you monitor, the child will not start.
But where there's a father figure completely absent, what can the mother do?
Patience. Patience, and keep praying for the child consistently.
Okay, so let's move on to 2 then.
Okay. 2, they are very irritable. Little issues affect their emotions and they quell in, but they are very playful children. Yeah, they can decide to dance, sing. Their music is their style.
Okay.
Yes. But when you ask them to do something, they can just be watching you. When you are serious that they should stop something, they'll be watching you. Even when you beat them, they'll be watching you. Because at that moment, they don't understand why you are beating them. They don't understand why you want them to do what they need to do. So anything you tell them, they are waiting for you, your affirmation or your straightness again. You have to re-emphasize what you tell them again before they can move.
So you mean they want to see that you mean it?
You mean it. So if you tell them something straight from the beginning that, oh, I want you to do this, their mind is processing something else until you emphasize that, hey, I want you to go and do this before they move. And when you beat them at the time you say it first, they will easily cry. But when you don't give them the affection they need, just bring them close and hug them, they will continue crying for a very long time. But naturally, they are very jovial children. When you are serious, they are playing. And then they get ideas naturally. So sometimes you can see them advising other people telling people don't do this, don't, but they do the opposite of what they tell others. So if you don't know that this is the nature of your child, then you find yourself beating the child over time, and the child will feel like my parent don't like me, and then they are the outward type of people, outgoing type of people. So when they get to their teens, they like to spend more time outside home, and that can lead to a whole lot of social vices.
In the home.
Yes. And the best way to help these children is just give them that sense of affection. They just love.
Are you talking about pampering? What do you mean is affection?
Not affection, not pampering. Like if the child does something wrong, and you beat the child or you discipline the child, don't let the child stand by and be crying. Because even at the time you beat the child, he's still looking at your face. So just call him and then hug him. Tell him, I beat you because of this and this and this. That's why. So next time, don't do it. And the child will pick it. And then they don't know how to say sorry. So what you need to do is, as early as possible, you start telling them, when you do something wrong, you say sorry. When you do something wrong, you say sorry. So that they grow with that potential and skill of learning to say sorry when even they are married and in their adulthood. Then that they can grow and they feel they already know. So when they even do something wrong, it's difficult for you to really get them to apologize.
Right.
Yes.
So that one needs to be approached with a lot of love and then explaining consistently why you need them to do certain things.
Exactly.
You have to give them reason.
Yes. And
What
time
about
to see the change happen.
Okay, and time to see the change. And what about the third category?
The third type of nature wiring, they like what they think and are convinced about it, they say it either through their expression or they say it verbally. Now, they are the type of children who think a lot, but sometimes from a pessimistic angle.
Okay.
Hey, will this thing work? They give a lot of excuses. They are not sure of their thought process. So often they want to look at things from the negative angle and then process it to understand logically. Now, this type of children gets inner conviction of why they need to do what they need to do. So if you come and tell them something different from what they are hearing, and you don't explain to them and you force them to do it, over time they will not like you.
So by themselves, they have
that inner conviction and senses to know what is right and wrong. So all you need to do is guide them. That's why I said most often we should study children within the first 2 years. And then when we want to know them more in their natural state of being, when there's no expected results to be expected or to be achieved, just study them and you realize that, oh, this child, he knows this is wrong, so he's doing it right. Then you know that is how the child is. But when you force instruction on the child, on that type of child, the child over time will become uncomfortable. And when they get to the teens or the young adulthood, they will start rebelling against your instruction because they will come to the point to have this inner conflict in them. That what they think they know and is right to them, instructions around them feel it is wrong.
That's a tough one,
yes.
Isn't it?
Yes. And if I should go into further coaching, they are the type of children that God speaks to them directly. So when they get insights into concepts and principles, and parenting makes them feel like that is the wrong way to go, especially in the area of career, in the area of studies, marriage, and all those things. If you force them into those areas, or let's say the child comes with a certain behavior, easily gets angry. Instead of you, the parent, to guide the child that no, anger is good, but to a certain limit, it's not good. So you don't always want to get angry to have your way. Now, immediately start insulting that child and making the child feel bad for getting angry without giving him the room to explain why he gets angry. Over time, the child will start quelling in and not tell you anything at all. And then at a point in time, he or she wants to distance himself from the parent.
Oh.
Yes. That's how come we have a lot of conflict between parents and their children. It is because of the nature wiring. When God is telling them something specific to do, and then you don't know that that's the type of child I have, your nurturing will have conflict in the ability
So
of the
how
child.
do you support that child?
Yes.
So because you are teaching them to learn the appropriate way to behave.
Now the question then is, what is that appropriate way? Who defines the appropriate way? In society.
Exactly.
Society has put certain behaviors and traits in a box and expect every child to conform to that behavior. But if you look at the differences in the nature of every child, all of them cannot exhibit the same traits at the same time. It will differ. So what constitutes the right behavior of a child is the instruction or the purpose nature wiring of that child. So that when you are nurturing the child, when you are instructing the child whether good behavior or bad behavior, it is not based on the overt characters. Let's say the child gets angry. You need to understand why the child gets angry. Not the fact that he has or the child steals. You need to understand why does that child steals.
So it means with this behavior, you have to be probing to find out the reason, because there is a certain personal conviction behind the way they are behaving.
Excellent. And that is the nature. So the child exhibits those things unconsciously. So you, the parent, needs to guide the child to understand that, okay, this is a negative trait, and therefore I need you to overcome it gradually. This is a positive trait, I need you to work on it and maximize it over time.
Let's move on to number 4.
4 children are very inquisitive. They like asking lots of questions, but they are very calm. When they are not studying, they are shouting, playing, doing lots of noise. But when it comes to studying, they are very slow at analyzing information. So when you tell them to do something or to go and bring something, there are those who ask you again, Mommy, what did you say I should go and bring? They like to re-echo what you have said. And in doing that, they are trying to internalize the information before they will move. But we don't have time for them. So immediately we say it. Why? Then
and if there are 2 or more siblings and the other person carries the message, then they leave that one behind.
And then we start comparing. She is much smarter than you. But the fact of the matter is the nature of that child is more scientific in nature. They take time to process information in order to understand and act with conviction. So when they ask questions, they like arguments. And when they are doing that, it's a way to learn to understand their environment better. So when you ask them to stop doing something, they will keep doing it to see what you say. And if you don't understand that this is a type of nature this child is, then there will be a conflict. You'll be insulting the child. Over time, the child will feel, I'm not good enough. And that goes a long way. Because they are also outgoing, they have that outgoing nature, and because of the music aspect, they can now go to do certain things that they may not tell you, but they are bad traits they learn from. And they are easily influenced. They are easily influenced, and they have these regrets in them. They always blame others for not getting to where they want to get to, especially in adulthood. So as children, with such children, all we need to do is have patience with them. Patience and that love and attention. But when you overdo it, it also goes to affect them.
How?
When you give them so much affection, without letting them know that there is a responsibility for every action, they may take everything for granted.
Okay, let's go on to number 5.
Okay, 5 are the very outgoing type of children. They can talk from morning to evening. They will ask lots of questions. The little chance they will get, they will love to play than to do what you tell them to do.
Okay.
So they just are talkatives. And then they play, can get hurt, will not know that they are even hurt. Will say words at their age, you'll be surprised, why are they saying this type of words? They ask questions at their age, you ask, how come they are asking this type of questions? They are just so inquisitive. So anything their eye see, their mouth wants to say it, their leg wants to go there, their hand wants to touch it. So they are so playful to the extent that in the environment where there is no much space to play with, they will spoil everything you have. They will spoil everything you have. If you don't take care, you will get angry and be beating them always. Yes. And then you also want things to be done their way. So when you tell them to do something, they want to go and play or do it fast and then go and play. So they lack focus.
Okay.
They lack focus. So for these children, how to bring them up is that one, learn to focus, give them house chores, monitor, and make sure that you supervise.
Putting them on a schedule, you mean?
Yes. And make sure the house chores goes a long way to let them know how to focus and be disciplined at one time to doing things. Because they feel that the whole day is for them. So they can decide to talk the whole day and they are good to go. Even when it's time for eating, they don't like that food, they would rather go and play than to come and eat.
Okay, let's go on to 6.
6 are very calm children. They are just calm. Whatever you tell them, yes, they just do whatever you need them to do. And they are good. They love other people. They have that natural love and care for others. So when it comes to behavior, is the environmental nurturing that will determine whether they become good or bad in adulthood.
Okay, so what kind of nurturing helps them to be better?
If you are providing care and love, you should not overdo it, overprotective love. No,
Right.
it is for them. If just instruct them, be firm that you are letting them do what you want them to do.
Okay.
And then when you don't want them to do what you don't want them to do, just make sure that your instruction is consistent and don't bring any sense of ambiguity. Today, do this. Tomorrow, you can do it. When you do that, they will grow with this imbalance sense of...
So you have to learn to be consistent with them.
Exactly.
No is no.
No is no, yes.
This is wrong, that is wrong.
Yes.
You don't change it.
You don't change it. Because over time, you may feel like, I can have my way. And mommy will not say anything. And then when you are angry and in a state where someone extended anger, then you come and instruct that this one, you shouldn't do it. But I know that when you are calm, you allow him or her to do it. So then he or she will take life like, nothing is really at stake. So sense of responsibility and consequence must be taught them.
Okay.
Yes.
Sense of responsibility and consequence. And you do that through?
Consistent practice.
Okay.
Yeah. Per their behavior and what they exhibit. If you realize that this is a bad behavior, you tell them, like, let's say for example, insults. You tell them, it's not good to insult. Don't like you have an enemy in quotes, and then you like insulting the enemy, and you see the child insulting that person you have been insulting, and then you laugh with the child. And then another time the child he or she insulting someone, and they say, no, it's not good to insult. You are not consistent in your instruction with
Parents
the child.
have a lot of work to do.
Yes.
7.
They think a lot. Ideas comes to them naturally, even as young as they are. So sometimes they are confused what really to do. So when you tell them to do something, they are very patient and calm children. They love music and want to just play, but when they want to be quiet, they can also become very quiet. Now, when it comes to behavior, they are not so much exhibiting bad traits. They don't exhibit so much bad traits.
Okay.
Because they have these inner spiritual senses that instruct them to do the right things. So there should just be consistency in what you tell them. Because when there is any distortion, it creates ambiguity in them. So there should be consistency. And there are children too, I would say they are good to go. They are good to go. Just that they lack focus.
Okay.
And are selfish. They would like to keep things for themselves, no other person to share. But when it comes to those traits, the interesting thing is when they are growing, you see them becoming selfish. But when they grow up, when you don't manage it well, it will become a disadvantage to them later on. Because some of them, let me give an example. A 5 person can be selfish when growing up, like a child.
Yeah.
But when they grow up, they are very selfless.
Okay.
They are very selfless. So if you don't manage that selfish aspect of it, and you like insulting, and you keep things to yourself, you don't share.
How do you treat that?
Yes, that's where
that selfish nature. How do you deal with it?
Okay, so
when you see it, yeah.
You moderate it by saying that, okay, you see, it's not everything you give out to do, but there are certain limits to which you can share what you have with your colleagues. So that the child knows that it's good to share, but to a certain extent, you don't share everything. Because if you take the 6th child, for example, the child with the 6th street, they'll have love for humanity. So they can give their last to you. So if a bad person comes and say a nice story to such a child, they can part with everything.
And take advantage of the
that
person. So let's move on to the next trait.
The 8.
Yes.
The 8 children don't like to be ordered and talked to anyhow. So if you are a parent and you talk to them and you instruct them anyhow, they feel they are servants. So they will rebel against any harsh approach in dealing with them. But when you talk to them calmly and you explain things to them, they are good to go.
Okay, so you just be calm, explain things to them, they'll be fine.
Yes.
And then the next one, the next trait.
The 9 one, they are the last people. They have strong character. They like people, but sometimes because of what they will gain from them. So even as children, you realize that they are hoarding things, they don't want to share things with others, and then they like to lead. So everyone should listen to them, and they want to control people around them. If you want to just massage what they want to do, they will get offended. Then there is also the aspect of selfishness. They feel whatever happens to you is because of your bad nature or some sin you have committed. So they are inconsiderate with people. So with such a child, if he grows up, you realize that there will be a human relation problem with people.
Okay.
So you just need to nurture the child, knowing that, look, we all have different situations that happens to us, and that's influence why we behave the way we do. So you don't just treat the occasion or the event and conclude that the person is bad or good. Give the person room to explain him or herself, and then you are good to go.
So that child needs to be taught how to deal with people.
Yes.
And to understand that people have flaws.
Yes.
Everybody has flaws.
Yes.
Then the last one.
That's the 9.
Oh, that's the last one.
Yes.
That's
Currently,
the last
a bank manager called.
Right.
And then he was like, I just reassigned someone from my office because I don't understand why he's not doing what I'm telling him. So then I explained his nature, his 9.
Okay.
He said, okay. I always have conflict with people. I said, that's why. Your nature has not been refined. That weakness in your nature has not been refined. Because when it comes to the nature, we have the good side and the bad side. So we need, when you are nurturing your child, you just need to model the negative side to complement the positive side, and the child will get to adulthood well balanced.
Okay, the lines are now open at 0260-969-160 if you want to call in and share your comments or question with us. 0260-969-160 is the number to call on. This message says, Mr. Pogo, thank you so much. We are proud of you. Keep it up, from Martin Zebizi of Odoko Official Town. He is sending in that message. Now, if the damage has already been done, we've looked at how to do to handle it or shape it so it doesn't get there. If the damage has already been done, for parents who are in that place, what do they do? Okay,
so first and foremost, you need to have foreknowledge of the nature wiring of the child. You see, it's the nature that influences why the child behaves the way he does. So he has a positive trait and a negative trait.
Right.
So you just have to have understanding that this child of mine is not entirely bad. There are good side of him.
Right.
But these are the weaknesses in his nature. And that foreknowledge will influence how you relate with the child in the first place. But if you don't have that foreknowledge, you always want to relate with the child based on the negative behaviors he exhibits, forgetting the positive traits in the nature of the child. So you'll be managing behavior rather than managing the potential of the child. Because, as I said, it's the nature wiring that also influences the purpose path of the child. So if you only manage the behavior without knowing that there are good sides which you can complement, then with that, the lack of that foreknowledge will cause you to harm the child over time, and there will be conflict. Then the other one has to do with appeal to their conscience. You see, there is no stubborn child. I don't believe any child was born stubborn.
Okay.
The hyperactive children are the 5 children, the 1 and the 9 children.
Okay. Let's take the caller and then we'll come back. Hello, good afternoon. Tell us your name and let's hear you.
Hello.
Yes, hello. We can hear you. What's your name? And go ahead, please.
I'm Beatrice, calling from Ho.
Beatrice, speak to us.
I'm calling from Ho.
Can hear you. Please go ahead.
I want to find out if Mr. Kogo has got a book on this topic that he's discussing.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I have a book on it. It's called The Secret to Discovering Purpose and Career. I have a website that you can easily go take a test,
Okay.
and you get all your information. So at the tail end, we'll give the website address.
Exactly. Okay. So there are 2 books in the that will be helpful, or the 3 if they meet.
Yes.
That will be helpful to.
And on the sites, all the informations are there with the unique learning style, the purpose behavior, the nature one, and the career path. All those
Let's have the website immediately so
okay.
that.
It's www.lordstone.lifecoachingconsults.
Okay. Lordstone Life Coaching
Consults.com.
.com.
Yes.
Okay. So you were talking about dealing with a child who has already gone haywire.
Yeah. So just appeal to their sense of conscience. That, look, it's not everything you can do to have your way. There are consequences, there are responsibilities. So just take your time when you are there. Sometimes it's because they are forgetful. That's why they keep repeating the same behavior traits. Some of the children, they are easily forgetful. So if you don't know that that is the nature of the child, you might think that the child intentionally does it. If you take a 5 child, for example, or a 9 and a 1 child, for example, they are very hyperactive. But the 5 person is easily forgetful. So if you don't know that that child is forgetful, you might think that he intentionally does it. And he always be beating the child, not knowing there is that lack of focus and attention in the nature of the child.
Right. I think we have a caller on the line. Hello, good afternoon. Tell us your name, where you are calling from, and go ahead.
My name is Guru. I'm calling from Constitute.
Go ahead, please.
I didn't get the calculation for that 1 up to 9, or how he calculated and got those numbers. So I want to get it well.
Okay, so please add the date of birth of your child. If you can get example, then what's this date?
January 2000.
2nd January.
Yeah, 2004.
So 2 plus 1, January is 1, plus 2014.
Plus 2014.
Yeah, so we had 2017.
Okay.
So we just split it 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 7, which is
2
9.
plus 0.
2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 7.
Where does the 0 come from?
Oh, we had, when we calculated the 2 plus 1, 2014, we had 2017.
17.
Yes.
Okay.
So 2 plus 0 is 2. Then 2 plus
okay.
1 is 3. Then
Okay.
3 plus 7.
10.
Okay, 10. Yeah, so 1 plus 0 is 1. So that child is 1, has the nature trait of 1.
Okay.
So you realize that he always wants to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, I have to go there, yeah. They don't like get for advice or so.
And he's full of energy, fighting with his colleagues, doesn't want to share things.
Yeah.
Yes, and then when you ask him to do something, he wants to have his independence. He doesn't want anyone to influence.
That's a lot of questions too. And it starts to worry a lot.
He doesn't.
Okay. Okay, so thank you for calling. We can pick it up from there. You can do
so with such an insight, you know that your child naturally doesn't like advice. How do you relate to such a child? Keep speaking to his conscience. then whatever you do, there's a consequence for it. If you don't listen, when you grow up, there will be no one there to always be advising you like you are having this opportunity in childhood. So just learn to pick advice and then apply it to what you already have in your head. So don't throw advice away. Already what is in your head is what you want to do, but pick the advice and infuse it to what is already in your head and see how you can apply it to what you want to do.
Right, we have another caller on the line. We'll come back to that. We have another caller on the line. Hello, good afternoon. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and let's hear you.
Hello, my name is Rose, calling from Adenta.
Right, Rose, let's hear you.
Okay, please, my child is 10th May 2015, and I want to know which group she falls within.
2015,
10th May.
Okay. So he's 5.
It's 5.
Yes. He talks a lot, asks lots of questions.
Okay.
And easily forgetful. So you realize that you keep telling him not to do a particular thing and he keeps doing the same thing over and over again.
Okay.
Yes.
So then how do you shape in such a child?
Okay. Learn to appeal to his sense of conscience.
Okay.
And then give him tasks to do. You realize that let me use the word, he's a bit lazy at doing things. He quickly wants to finish whatever you are doing to go and play.
Yeah.
So make sure you monitor whatever you've asked him to do.
Okay.
And then teach him to learn to focus, to do one thing at a time.
Okay.
He's a very intelligent child.
Yeah,
very intelligent. Yes. But he just has too much energy and wants to do a whole lot of things at a time. That's how even when he's speaking to people. When he's speaking to people, he speaks harshly. Sometimes his words just come straight. So learn, teach him how to say the right words at the right time. It's not everything you see that you say. So that he learns to polish his communication skills. And then when he grows, he will be more balanced in relating with people.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Thank you too for calling. This one says, please, the website again. The website is www.lordstonelifecoachingconsult.com. I believe as soon as you begin to type it, it will pop up. This one says, hello, good topic. Please, can your guest tell me how to deal with a 2-year-old girl that cries at the least thing or misunderstanding is really becoming worrying for my family. Fred from Amra here. So she, 2-year-old, cries at the least thing.
I'm sure that child is a nature trait. So if she cries a lot, all you need to do when she does something wrong and you beat the child, just call, hug the child. And realize over time he or she will stop crying.
Just keep showing the child love.
Yes, love. Just hug the child and that's it.
Right. There's a call on the line. Hello, good afternoon. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and go ahead. This will be our last call.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
My name is Mami Fua. I just came into the program late. I wanted to know if there's a site to go to and look at and do the calculations and know how to manage the behavior.
Yes, there is a site available.
Yes.
It's www.lordstonelifecoachingconsult.com. When if you send a message to the number on your screen, the WhatsApp number, we can send it to you directly as well.
Now, with the site, when you go, you click on the discovery. The second part, after the unique learning style, is a purpose nature wiring or behavior wiring. Just click on it. You'll be asked to make some payments, and after that, your information will pop up.
Okay, getting a message here. Great insight by Aaron. Thank you for this revelations wisdom from Gomwa Bujuburam sent that message. So the one who says she has a 2-year-old, he has a 2-year-old who cries a lot, says my child was born 13th April 2018.
Okay.
So we can quickly get to the type, and then I'm guessing that we would 13th April. So that's 134 2018.
Okay.
And then we can get to no.
That's one.
Okay. So
That's one.
The crying.
At 2 years, maybe there's something he's not comfortable with. And that's why she's behaving that way. Yes, but still the best way to do is give him that sense of security through hugging him, and then that will be okay. So when you beat or he's crying, just draw him or her closer to you. Let him feel that sense of security, and that will be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just keep showing love. Now, is there an age-appropriate way to deal with it? Because you're talking about how to treat a 2-year-old, but that may not be the same for a 14-year-old, per se.
Okay, so as you have the foreknowledge of the nature, it's a process. So you keep modeling it one stage to the other. So from 3 years, you should start modeling the behavior of your child. And don't expect a 360 change within a year, or it's a process, because that's the nature, so it will keep reoccurring.
Okay.
But by the time they get to their teens, you have already molded their potential, so then they can be on their own and experiment life on their own.
Right. So for those of you who are asking for the website, we'll send that to you right after the program, so you have the website. However, it is www.lodstonelifecoachingconsult.com. When you go there, click on Discovery, and then you will find it. This one says, good show, very educating. As we wrap up on the conversation, let's look at the other things apart from what the parents are doing. There is TV, there is friends. These are all influences in the child's life, even though the parent is doing their bit.
Yes.
Is it possible that the parent can do all of that, like what you're giving as the tools, and yet these other factors will influence the child to behave differently?
Yes, environmental influence is very huge in nurturing
but
or
we can't
influencing.
control that.
Yeah, but there's a way to extent to which you can control it.
Okay.
Yes, through that affection and care you give your child, that sense of room for the child to play, and know that my parents are always not strict on me, but they can. When the time for them to be strict, I realize that they are strict. When the time for them to let me play, they give me that room. So the child, no matter the influence outside, knows that my parents care about me. But when the environment is so authoritative and you don't allow them to explore, then they go outside looking for those external influences. And that when it becomes, the focus becomes so much on that end, it becomes a challenge in whatever you are doing at home. And then when, you see, children, as they get to their half ages, to their full ages, they go through a certain stage of uncertainty. They become uncomfortable within them because they are going to a new stage of age, and there is some new expectation of character that will be coming in their nature. So when it gets to their half ages, they become a bit hyperactive, doing all things. But immediately they get to, let's say, 3 years, they become stable in their behavior until they get to maybe 3.5 years, getting to 4, then they become unstable again in their behavior. Right. So we should just identify some of these stages in their life and then guide them gradually through those stages.
Right. So for all of you who are asking where you belong and the website address, I'll give you the website. I can text it to you later on or WhatsApp it to you later on. So that you can go there, but it is www.lodstonelifecoachingconsult.com. You go there, you click on Discovery, and then you would follow the prompts, right?
Yes.
What would you like to leave with parents after digesting all this?
Yeah. Before then, I'll say we have a club.
Okay.
And it's called Smart Parenting and Couples Club. And we want people to just call, register, and then we'll keep updating them on how they can nurture their children along their potential areas naturally. With the one we did, a learning strategies one to parents that have challenges with the learning of their children too, we can guide them along that. Now, children are not, they are complete sets of personality. It is their potential that God has wired in their ability that makes them who they are. So when you are relating with your child, don't deal with only the behavior in isolation, but know that they are a complete set with positive and negative traits. Identify those positive traits that are already in their nature. Now, no one can take it away from them. But that negative trait is what you need to patiently model. Over time, they will now improve on the quality of their behavior towards themselves and society. And then they will grow and become more balanced and fulfill that instruction of we should train up the child the way he should go, so that when he grows, he will not depart from it.
Aaron, we are so grateful. We're so grateful. You mentioned a number to contact also.
Yeah, the number is 0242 548430.
0242 548430 is the number to call. And then the website is www.lawstonelifecoachingconsult.com. You go there, you go to discovery, and then you follow the prompts. However, if you still want the details, you can also send a message to the WhatsApp number, Women's Voice WhatsApp number on your screen there, and we'll send you the details. Thank you so much, Aaron, for coming to the studio. I have been engaging Aaron Lordstone Pogo. He is CEO for the Lordstone Life Coaching Consult, teaching and guiding children, educators, learners on behavior management, among others. He's also the author of 3 books that have got to do with children and learning as well. I'm sure when you contact that number and you get onto the site, you'll get access to those books. Once again, we want to say a big thank you to those who contributed to the lives of Rachel Quay and her son, Daryl, the 12-year-old with cerebral palsy. Mary Kwashiga, thank you. Barbara Gazy, thank you. Stephen Oklu, thank you. Nana Chabwaji, thank you so much. And keep the support coming in. We can still do it. If you want to send in anything or you want to contact her, you can do that via our WhatsApp number here on Women's Voice. Thank you so much to all of you who called in and sent us messages. Thanks to the team here at GBC News, especially Barbara Delamensa. We'll see you again next